Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Friday edition of Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep. Spencer Israel here with Joel Elconin and Dennis Dick. We are having some internet gremlins in the office today, so coming to you from a good morning, everybody, spontaneous setup here as I work through some gremlins on my computer. But so we've got a show. We've got some stuff going on. Just we're kind of working through these internet problems. I got Dennis here. He's all good in Canada. So I'll just throw it to you, Dennis. We've got some news. We've got some movers. Joel will join us in a minute. What's going on here?
S&Ps continue the same story here. The rally continues. Nothing spooks this market.
Yep.
We get word yesterday that plane was potentially shot down with a missile. Market just shrugs it off anyways. I mean, this is just the same story. This market just goes up. It seems like no matter what, but how do you fight the tape? Like, if you're shorting stocks, it's a difficult thing to do. With that being said, I will tell you one stock that you actually have a potential out on now is Tesla. If you were playing it from the short side, little potential double top from yesterday there. 498.49 the high 2 days ago. Yesterday's high 498.80, so within 30 cents of each other. I actually did play this. I saw after the open, I was like, it missed the 500 again. I was like, oh, it could reverse here. I shorted in the 496 handle, and then somehow I talked myself out of it. And I ended up covering I actually ended up covering in the 494 handle, but I talked myself out of it. I was taking off. I didn't want to babysit the position. I was like, I should just put a stop at 500 and then go about my way, my business. And I was like, nah, I'm trying to short a rocket ship. And, I just got done lecturing everybody about trying to short rocket ships and how you lose money. So talked myself out of holding on to it, and it would have been a good one because the stock lost over 25 points from where I shorted it. At that point in time. So I think there is the potential that you have the little double top, which means you could have a short-term top in. So maybe we don't see 500. We got darn close, but maybe we don't see it. Maybe they shrug it off and maybe they just buy it up there today. But the bears finally at least have a candle working in their favor. Yesterday's candle on TSLA.
And again, not like there's any news here. It's just
it's all just trading on momentum now. Yep. And there's no news here. I mean, we had the couple, the media will say, oh yeah, the downgrades did yesterday, but you saw them shrugging it off in the morning. So I don't think it's news that was driving this. No. It's just a continuum. It's a little stall. It's stalled for a bit. Is the run done? I don't think it's overall done, but I could see how it could cool off for a couple days. Mm-hmm. Maybe give the bears some fodder.
Yeah. All right. So we have a jobs number today. We had a couple of earnings, talk about some ratings. Where would you like to start us off here? Our guest is Bill Santiago, trader.
Oh, nice.
He would join us at 8:35. Although, Dennis, did you remember to do a trivia? I'm not sure we can do a hot potato segment with.
Oh my goodness, no, I did not.
I'm not sure we can even do it with this little. Newfangled internet.
No, and I forgot anyways. I mean, I could come up with something on the fly very quickly.
No, it's okay.
Here, but I always forget everything. We might have to push the hot potato into next week.
I think we can.
We have some fun with Bill coming on anyway, so we'll just keep Bill for an extra 5 minutes, and we'll get our laughs that way.
All right, Joel. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, fix your camera.
What is Joel? What are we looking at? Hans.
Where's
Hans?
We're looking at.
He's watching Frozen. What am I looking at? It says Hans G. That's funny though. What is that? Is that your computer?
Wait, I don't know. I don't even know. Where the hell is my
okay,
camera?
Joel, you're on a hot mic.
Well,
so
I turned your camera off, Joel. So we're all good.
That's a good idea.
There is a pile of gremlins here today.
Yeah, the internet in the office is being very, very unreliable this morning. So we're all on our mobile devices. But let's jump into some earnings here. I guess the only earnings report worth discussing this morning. KB Homes, we got that report after the close yesterday. KBH, I'll read you those numbers right now. The Q4 EPS, $1.31, beat by 2 cents. The sales missed $1.56 versus $1.61 billion. So EPS beat. Sales miss. Guys, thoughts?
Lennar, again, you see the same story here all the time. The home builders, they often beat it. Lennar often beats it. LEN usually kicks it off, usually beats the number, usually rallies initially and then gives it all back. I mean, it's like Groundhog Day in the home builder land. And then Lennar set the bar a little bit higher, but everybody's spooked to go and buy any other home builder because they saw what happened to Lennar. I even had traders messaging me before wanting to go short KB Homes ahead of it just because of the Lennar action off of an okay report on LEN. Well, KB Homes is a flat out miss. It's not surprising that it's down. It always seems like these home builders are an opportunity to buy, though, on the pullbacks. I know I'm coming at 36, but I think it's down to $34, $35. There's lots of underneath demand here. The stock was bouncing up there to, near the highs. Anyways, we're getting back to 2017 highs. So I think you have underneath demand here. I don't see this thing just cascading and losing like $5. I think you will find support in the 34 to 35 area over the course of the next week or two. I'd actually be a buy the dipper on this one if it got in the low 35s.
Big bar here on the headline number. Actually, you made your high and your low for the pre-market and after hours. 37.60 on the spike. Then you went lower and you made a pre-market low in the 35 handle, 35.20. Just kind of hanging out. This is a tough one because you've had a rally from 32.5 all the way up to 37 plus here. So I'd have to, I don't know. I can't really give you a level here. I'll give you 34. I'll go with you, Dennis. 34.89. That's your 4-day low. We haven't seen it yet. We're a buck away from it. So there's your support here for KBH, but did get a nice pop and a drop. We'll see if buyers come in this morning.
The real kickoff of earnings season is going to be the banks next week. So that's where the fireworks will start from earnings. But we're going to have fireworks here in 15 minutes because we're going to get the jobs data for December. Let's see what it looks like here because that's going to be obviously a big mover here for the markets. Out of all the economic reports that we get, the main one, the one that moves the markets is always the jobs data. So this is kind of like the calm before the storm here. We've had some increased volatility, at least in the last few days, worries about the war. So I would expect some increased volatility. I don't think this is going to be a non-event. I think you're going to see some decent movement here in 15 minutes. Do we have a preview, Spencer, of what jobs are looking for?
Just two numbers to look out for. 164,000, a non-farm payroll estimate, 164. Unemployment expected to go to 3.5%. So that's where we're at. 3.5% unemployment, 164,000 non-farm payrolls. Those are the two most important numbers to look for at 8:30.
So we'll come back to that in a few minutes here. Let's move on. Lots of analyst action here once again. Yep. This is always historically one of the biggest weeks for analysts because they all come back from their holidays. They're gearing up. They're writing their reports. By Tuesday, Wednesday, they're starting to pump them out. Usually a Friday is very slow for analyst action, and a Thursday night is very slow for analyst action, but there was a lot of action again, simply because this week everybody's back from the holidays and they're getting their papers out there. So some interesting ratings here. Actually, some fairly big ones here. Let's first go over to some of the tech stocks here. I'm looking at Mizuho, and they look like they're upgrading a couple Apple components here. We look at QRVO and SWKS, both going from neutral to buy. I guess they look at that Apple chart and they say, wow, maybe, these other Apple components might be doing well here as well. So QRVO trading up $2 on the upgrade from Mizuho. SWKS, same story here. It's up $2.66. Nice lift for both these stocks. Joel, what is the technical saying on these couple of Apple components?
These things haven't rallied. I mean, I like the call. I see what the analyst is doing here, but I mean, these things haven't. Like, I'm looking at the Cuervo here, and man, this thing has not rallied anything like the Apple has at all.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a catch-up trade here.
Yeah. Now, just bump. I mean, you are bumping up against old-time highs here. And you have 114.14. That's up $2.18. Spiked up to 117.10. So you are $3 off. That's why someone got a little excited there. But I'll just look at 115 for right now. I mean, we haven't taken out yesterday's high at all. Well, yesterday's high was 114. Yeah. So we are trading above that. Just go to your daily levels, 115.24. That would be the next target, even though you did get over that in the pre-market trading. After that, it opens up to 117.40. SWKS, boom, that is up, trading up 278. Looks like someone has a little bit of opinion here at 123. We hit that in the pre-market trading, backed off that, but coming off a great December. We'll see what it does with these upgrades. And just an interesting thing yesterday, Dennis. It took a little while, but Tesla did succumb to that double downgrade. I mean, that I don't know.
And we were talking about that just off the hop, and I know the stream maybe would not have been enabled there. And I was saying I actually played it when we got up there, and I maybe people heard this, maybe they didn't. I said it right off the hop, and then a couple of people said they didn't hear what I was talking about. I always look when, and I talked about this the day before, like, give me a setup, give me something. It kind of gave it to you right in the morning if you're a day trader, because you got up there near the previous day's high, and then you started to peel off of it. And I was like, oh, maybe they're going to be the old, everybody thinks it's going to 500 trick, which I even said on the show, and they're going to pull the rug out from under them. And they kind of did. So they stopped it from going over 500, at least temporarily here. And that is concerning if you're in this thing right now, because the double tops, we often see, stocks reverse. And I know technicians, when you read a technical analysis book, they talk about double tops and they're looking at it, from a month ago, and then it's getting back to the same area and they see a double top. When Joel and I talk double tops, we're shorter term traders. We're looking for 2 consecutive highs in the same days. And you often see stocks reverse when they set something like that up. And we have that in place here, 30 cents on a $498 stock. I'll call that a little mini double top all day. So now you have some people thinking that maybe we're not going to get to 500. So I think, the sell rating probably maybe gave it a little bit of gas to get away from it a little bit quicker, but they were shrugging that off all morning. So I don't think it was so much that as the fact that we couldn't get up over 500 2 days in a row. And that maybe spooked a few of the longs.
Yeah, it did. It is trading up 443 this morning at 545.87, just ticked 486. So for this one, for you Tesla followers, it's just, you got the double top there to lean on. I don't think we're going to see that today. You can never say never. But the more important price for anybody that's following Tesla here is that all-time closing high at 492.14. So get another rally here up in, $7. I think you find some resistance there. Also, if you're just dying to short this thing here, you just can't resist it. What did you have? A 26-point decline, right? 499, 473. You take half of that, 8. Maybe you get up to what was it? 26. That's 13. So you get up to 485, 486. You're getting this 50% retracement here of that bounce. So if you have to pull the trigger on a short here in Tesla, you're willing to lose 10, 15 bucks or whatever. This is the 50% retracement of that move so far.
We're starting to leak here ahead of the number. We've given back most of the pre-market gain. And
don't we have to go down eventually, Dennis? We were taling about
this eventually, but who knows when that is? I've tried to be a hero here, trying to sell this market a couple of times, and it hasn't worked out that well. I mean, it's been a very difficult market for the shorts. So we are going to get a big number here in 9 minutes. Maybe we get some fireworks. Maybe we get some sell-off. Maybe we get a big rally here again. But you just got to kind of go with the flow. I mean, this market shrugs off all the political risk it's been shrugging off. It's shrugged off, a lot of, for over the last year. I mean, we've just shrugged off every time we've come into something, the trade deal, whether that wasn't going well. The market just has continued to climb the wall of worry. It's hard to really get bearish. And I was talking kind of bearish a couple days ago, and then I talked myself out of it about 10 minutes later. I said, look, let's just look at the technicals. Let's play it technically. Yep. This market is not in trouble until SPY gets under 320. So, I mean, you can worry about all this stuff, but you can just take it and look at the technicals. We are in a nice uptrend here, continuing to go. It looks like it's breaking out. I mean, there's no reason, in my opinion, to get heavy short until you take out 320 SPY. Then I would be concerned. So it's 7 points to lean on here.
And we were looking at some of the premiums in here, and even though we're kind of at a low volatility in the market, they're still making you pay up for any kind of those options if you want to try things on the short side there. But
oh yeah, the premiums were crazy. We were looking for protection. Me and Joel were just, shopping for protection yesterday just in case. And I mean, even though the VIX is low, you still look and you're like, oh, and I guess this is, it's hard to just buy protection. But if you want to protect yourself out a month on SPY, it's going to cost you, $4 to $5. So you're $4 at least. So you're going to pay 1.5% for that protection. It's tough. It's tough. So, I mean, 1.5%, 1%. I mean, you can go out, and I did shop out. If you want to protect yourself for the whole next year, you're looking at about 7%. It's going to cost you to protect yourself. Yeah. But I mean, that's what the market averages overall. So you can see what the option raters are saying. So it's difficult to just, buy puts, and people, if you time it right, it can work really well. But buying puts has been a loser's game in this market for the last decade. So yeah. Very, very, very difficult to time that. I mean, the best course of action in the last decade has just been buy and hold.
Buy the dip. And just interesting here, the S&Ps will just didn't get a chance to do that at the top of the show as we were working through a few technical difficulties. We had that all-time closing high yesterday at 32.76 even. Boom, that's right where your pre-market low is, 75.25, important number. Pre-market high. I mean, I'm not even putting. I'm just putting the close, and then I'm not putting any resistance here on my levels. But looking at the pre-market high, that's 32.87. So we're hanging out mid-range here on the session. So let's see if we can hold in here, go back on the upside. We've been averaging, 25, 30 point range. So if you take that from that 32.75 low, I don't know. I mean, 3,300 today, maybe a possibility. We'll see what things happen after that 8:30 jobs number, 8:24, Dennis. So you got a few minutes before that. Spencer, you still around there?
I'm with you guys.
Okay.
I want to go talk.
The YouTube here today.
The YouTube chat is buzzing about ACB. We got 2 downgrades in this stock, and there's a lot of people who like to play the pot stock. So we got 2 downgrades. Bank of America downgrading the stock to neutral. Piper Sandler is coming out and downgrading the stock to underweight. They're lowering their price target to $1. Yep. We know Gordon Johnson has already said this is a sell, and he's put a 0 price target on it. Gordon Johnson is one, not conflicted. He's one of the smarter men in the business. I'm not going to battle him on that call and say, oh, I think there's value here. He thinks it's a 0. I'll go with Gordon and say this trend is definitely not your friend. It's sure trading like it's eventually a 0. We don't know anything. Maybe it can turn it around. But until Gordon Johnson turns around and starts to get bullish this thing, I'm definitely not getting long ACB.
And just another thing too, relative strength here. You just look at what
it doesn't even, you can't even catch a bid at all. Even some of the other pot stocks caught a bid. Like CGC has actually held up okay. So you talk about best of breed. We talk Cannabis growth. Kramer's always said it's best of breed. We've obviously had Alan Broxton on the show lots of times, and he's always thought CGC is one of the better ones as well. It's held up. I mean, Kronos caught a bid yesterday too, and it's held those lows. But ACB, no, it continues just to drift down, and that's very concerning. You got 2 downgrades here again. Maybe it eventually gets a bounce, but even if you're bouncing here, I mean, if you bought this thing at $6, $7, $8, or even worse than that, is it ever coming back to these $11, $12 levels? I don't think so. I think this is going to be a slow leak, and I think when we look at this a year from now, just my opinion, I think it's going to be under $1.
Where did Constellation Brands throw in the towel in taking that big write-off?
Well, they've still got the position, so they haven't thrown in the towel.
They took the write-down now, did they?
Well, they wrote down some of it, yeah, because they obviously bought CGC way too high. I mean, they paid too much of a premium for these things. We've talked, and bearishly about, and been right about these pot stocks for a year. And I had ACB long, and I said the story I thought was over, and I think I sold it around $9 or $10 Canadian. So that would be like $7 or $8 US. And we talked about it on the show. I even told everybody, I was in it for a while. I'm like, I think this story, like there's stories that cool off, and then there's stories that are over. And, when I sold that ACB back, and we got to go back to the monthlies because it was a long time ago, we said on the show, and we're going back into April, or May, like late spring, early summer. I was saying, I think the story in the pot stocks is over. The competition is now officially started. These things are all in breakdown mode. CGC was breaking down through 40. It's now at 20. Kronos was breaking down through like $16, $17. It's now at 7. Afria was, trading up there around 10 or 11 bucks, and it's now at 4. I mean, the story here is over, and the reason that the valuations were nosebleed and the competition is coming, and a lot of these things are burning cash. And what's scary was it Gordon Johnson that was saying there's like 27 months of supply out there in Canada? Was it Gordon that was saying that?
Yeah, that was him.
Like 27 months of supply just sitting out there, looking for a home. I mean, this is not the kind of industry, you think about like when the cars have oversupply and you see, lots full of cars in the Detroit or Windsor area there, and you think that can't be good. Just envision how much, pot is sitting there waiting to be sold. And yes, you can blame the retail stores in Canada. Maybe they didn't get out there long enough. But I mean, there's nothing good really happening,
And
at
they
least
have
from a
to take it
Canadian
back,
perspective,
right?
in this sector.
Take it back? Don't they take it back or something? Isn't there some?
That's what he was saying, that there was ways. And I don't know all those details.
Either
All
do
I
I.
can tell you is we can look at the technicals here and tell you there are major problems here. When ACB goes down every single day, gets a little relief pop, 2 days later, it's right back down here again. I mean, these are not stocks that I personally want to own.
Hey, Dennis, go wide here.
Yeah, jobs number. So
yeah, go
you guys
wide
keep
on those
talking.
markets there.
We'll preview the jobs number. I'm going to go try to make some trades.
Coming into the jobs number here.
Coming in hot.
Coming in
I'm
hot.
going on mute.
All right. S&P futures trading up 7 handles at 32.83, trading at new all-time high territory. Pre-market high comes in at 32.87. That's your first target on the upside. As I mentioned, pre-market low right by that closing price of 32.76. Your pre-market low stands at 32.75 in a quarter. If you take out the 75 and a quarter, boom, boom, you have a ways to go to yesterday's intraday low at 64 in a quarter. Spencer, did you already give the preview of the jobs number?
Yep, I gave just the two high-level numbers we need to know. 164,000 jobs, non-farm jobs added in December. Unemployment rate 3.5%. That's what we're looking for here. And the jobs report is around the corner.
Yep. Here, mid-range on the session, as I said, that comes in at 81 and a quarter. That has been acting as support here. Here we come. We're getting some movement here. Seconds away from the jobs number. It's imminent.
It is out 145,000 non-farm jobs. So a weaker than expected non-farm payroll figure. Unemployment holding steady at that 3.5% number, but a weak non-farm payroll print, 145,000 jobs added last month versus 160,000 non-farm jobs that was expected. So weak on that headline number.
Spoos had a quick dip here. It looks like we dipped under 32.80 only momentarily. Bulls and Bears are just battling it out here. Mid-range on the session. Up at these levels, not much to lean on. So the bots are leaning on the that mid-range on the session. Let's go take a look at the bond market. Bond market reacting to this. Bond market is rallying. That is not good for your financial stocks here. So, I mean, rates are going. I mean, can we just quit talking about this anywhere? Rates are probably not going anywhere in 2020. I know we had JC Peretz on a couple of weeks ago, and he thought, interest rates were going to skyrocket and the bonds were going to tank. Well, that's not what we're seeing here in this morning session. Bonds are trading up about a half a point here. BAC in the red here by 13 cents. That's moving a little bit. Let's take a look at JP Morgan. JP Morgan stuck in the mud here at 137.54. That's trading up a dime at this point. Bulls are prevailing here after that. Where'd that dip? That dip wasn't even anything here. Let me go to working on a couple different computers. That dip took you to 32.79, and now we're back up trying to challenge that
They bought it. They bought the dip. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. I mean, I think, and let me see if I can. Where were we? One number I like to keep an eye on here. At 830, your last print on that 830 bracket came in at 81.50. So right there, that's holding up here, 81.50. There's your support, 32.79. Really, I mean, usually on these numbers, you see the stocks, a little bit more of movement, but you're not seeing that here this morning. Maybe Triple D can come in a few minutes here and tell us what he's seeing out in the markets. But right now, we are holding the momentum in the rally. First target here on the upside, your current high at 32.87.
And one thing, I just wanted to go back real quick. I didn't get a chance to chime in on the cannabis discussion because we had the jobs number. But
sure.
The one thing I want to say is, just to provide a counterpoint here, couldn't you reasonably expect there is a chance that these cannabis stocks are overdone again, right? Everyone knew valuations were out of control. Everyone knew Aurora Cannabis probably wasn't worth, whatever, 10, 20, 30 bucks a share, whatever it was at the high, $12 a share. Now it's a buck here, going lower. So we knew there was a consensus agreement that these cannabis stocks were overdone on the upside. Couldn't you say now that they are potentially overdone on the downside too?
I'll say no. I'll say you're wrong, and this is why. Because the valuations were so ridiculous. I mean, and I know there's some local listeners there.
I'm saying they're still ridiculous, but just
they're still ridiculous.
They overcorrected.
And maybe there's a relief rally in here for a little bit. But if you're saying these things are just cheap and fundamentally cheap, I think you're really wrong. And this is why. Because you look at Afria, it's still got a $1.2 billion market cap. I can look at their operations and I see a greenhouse full of marijuana plants. I know this from the town, and the greenhouse is, you can value them down there, and they're maybe worth, $5 or $6 million. So you throw a whole bunch of pot plants in there, you're telling me that's worth $1 billion because they got a bunch of pot plants in these greenhouses, but the guy that's growing cukes and the guy that's growing tomatoes is worth 10 million. That's where the disconnect for me. That's where the personal disconnect is. That I can't understand. This isn't like technology. It's going to expand and change everything. There is a value. There's value in these companies. They're not all of them are zeros. Like obviously Aurora Cannabis, maybe they're burning cash. Maybe that's a different story, according to Gordon Johnson. But I do not believe that all these companies are worth billions of dollars. So even at these prices, I mean, Afria, we know it was at the highs, worth $3 or $4 or $5 billion, or whatever it was ridiculous. It's still ridiculous in my opinion at $1 billion. I think, you start thinking, and, we had Mark Yusko on the show, and he made a good point. He says they could fall 90% from where they are now and still be fundamentally overvalued. So you could buy some of these stocks at 4 and they could be at 40 cents. And then they would be fundamentally still overvalued, is what Mark Yusko was saying. I'm not against them on that. I mean, it kind of makes intuitive sense to me there too. So when you have a technology company, you have the possibility of expansion and everybody in the world buying this, but how much, you're growing pot stocks. It's, it's a crop, and you have the medical, and yes, it's a more expensive crop. And yes, so you got to give it some type of a premium. But I'll tell you, all those greenhouses that are in Leamington that are growing cukes and tomatoes and peppers, is this worth 100 times more because they're growing marijuana? That's why I've always said the pot sector, even when I was long some of these stocks, I'm like, it's like a hot potato. Eventually it's going to end badly. And I believe that's what's happened here. So right. I think there is still a lot of room to the downside, believe it or not, even though these things have been killed. And that's just because the growth guys, I believe, are out, and the value guys like me say, no, thank you.
All right. I think
that's my opinion.
Time to move on here. I want to bring on our guest, Bill Santiago. He is a trader, also a comedian. Bill, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. It's been too long. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well, Bill. How have the first few weeks of 2020 been treating you in the market? It's been good.
Oh, my God. Oh, fantastic. But before I get into it, I just want to make a disclaimer for all your Benzinga audience. Nothing that I do is educational. Everything that I say is strictly actionable trading advice. Okay, we got to be clear on this.
Okay.
When I'm done, if you're impressed and you want more advice, I've got some best-selling books on Amazon that you should check out, like Diversification is for Pussies.
Okay.
Going Broke Recklessly. The Downwardly
Full disclaimer.
Mobile Bible. Some fantastic titles. You got to check it out. And trust me, I have lost money every day of my 3-week trading career, so I know what I'm talking about.
I've lost every money every day of my 3-week trading career, so I know what I'm talking about. You know what? You're probably
it's a new decade. It's 2020, and we know what's going on. All is well. Trump has tweeted.
All as well as if you're long.
You gotta be long and short. Trump has tweeted. The algos have spoken. All is well. We've gone right from the Santa rally straight into a parabolic January effect melt-up Kano event. And I don't know about you, but I buy every dip in imminent nuclear war.
Imminent nuclear. That's kind of what the market was saying, at least the other night when we looked like we were going for
You got to do it. If the likelihood of war goes down 1%, yeah, I'm in. I'm buying everything I can. And I gotta ask you guys this: what happened to all those recession fears? It wasn't that long ago.
Correct.
I mean, for Halloween, I went dressed as an inverted yield curve.
Did you cross over?
Wait.
Yeah.
I just want to ask you about some of your books and some of your writings. Have you done?
Oh, what do you want to know?
I want to know, have you written anything about the Fed?
The Fed? Yeah, yes. The Fed to me, Tony Powell, if he comes out and he sees his shadow.
If he sees his shadow, we're in for 6 more months of low interest rates.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like people wait for him every day. It's such a ridiculous thing. Every couple of weeks, is he coming out? And what's he going to say? Is he breathing? Is he blinking? Like they're trying to interpret, the wrinkles on his face. And he had to learn. He had to learn how to be less talk less and not freak everybody out. But all is well. Here's what I'm waiting for. Eventually, all is well isn't going to do it anymore. The market will bake that in, and then it'll hardly move the needle. But if Trump decides to tweet, all is honky dory.
Oh, okay.
Forget about it. We're talking 5,000 in the S&P. all it's going to take is a phase 1 honky dory tweet, and Apple's a $10 trillion company.
What about have you done any work on the statistical significance of Groundhog Day coming up here in February? What are your algos telling?
I'm past Groundhog Day. What do you want to know about Groundhog Day? You should have given me a heads up if you really wanted to talk about Groundhog. What do you want to know about Groundhog Day? Don't you want to talk about the election? What if Trump loses the election? I'm going to have to count on universal basic income. That's a 1,000 a month for sitting on my ass. That's pretty good.
All right, Bill. Let's I know you follow a lot of different sectors and a lot of different stocks.
I do.
Is there been I mean I know your overall portfolio just buy everything, but is there anything any sector right now that you're looking at like we were just talking
definitely
negative about the pot sector here. Are you going to be a?
Well, let's start with this. It's just it's on my mind. Bed Bath and Beyond.
Yes.
I took such a bath on Bed Bath and Beyond. I couldn't get out of bed, and just when I thought it couldn't get worse, it went beyond. And but it turns out I have a friend of mine, a very good friend. She used to work. She just got fired from Bed Bath and Beyond. And I see this as a very positive sign because she was a terrible employee. She never did any work. She was the only time she wasn't, when she didn't call in sick, she was there just stealing money. She was so bad that I actually think the company can finally be profitable now that they let Heidi go. She was holding. I'm sure she was costing the company billions. So I'm calling it. This is the bottom at Bed Bath. Heidi is gone. Go long on Bed Bath. But I hope
Spencer.
I hope 2020 was as good as 2019 for me. That was an incredible year. My best stock last year was MoviePass.
He's in the business of losing money here.
I had a 100% retracement on my investment. That's 100%. And then I just let the house play with my money. Easy peasy.
That's a good one.
All right, Bill.
Bill. Every once in a while, give me a break. And then I started shorting Tesla at 178.
Good luck with that.
I got the entry point from my Santiago reverse money flow oscillator, which is infallible.
Reverse money flow.
Yeah. If you want,
Bill, can you give us one name you're looking at right now?
I just told you, Bed Bath & Beyond. What else?
No,
and he gave you Tesla too.
No, he didn't.
Tesla,
the reverse
right,
money oscillator says shorted at 170.
Give me like something.
Yeah.
Like...
Oh, wait a second. My reverse money oscillator is telling me now's the time to buy pot stock. So I don't care what you just said, MJ.
Now is the time. You might be right on that one. They could get a bounce.
I'm telling you,
how come he's right and I'm wrong?
Hey, Spencer, make sure you read that disclaimer after we get Bill off.
He's right and I'm wrong.
No, come on. I'm serious. This is actionable by, trust me, the market is not overvalued. It's frothy. It's not overly frothy. It's just right frothy. It's Goldilocks frothy. It's all as well. It's honky-dory frothy. But the reason, I tell you, you know why I'm not worried about the market? I know everyone has different. I'll tell you why I'm bullish. It's because they haven't sent Larry Kudlow out in a long time. If they send Larry out, you're in trouble. You better get into cash before he opens his mouth.
Okay.
I don't know what it is about Larry. The algos just like to short his face. I don't know why.
What about
you guys know the way that? Go ahead.
Do you have any? What about Bitcoin here? Have you done any investing in
Bitcoin? Forget Bitcoin. It's Santi coin. I have my own coin. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Nice.
It's fantastic.
I want my own coin.
Make you. It's easy. You just add coins. You could have Dennis coin. You can have Bitcoin.
We actually joked about this when everybody was coming out with they had the kitty coin. We were going to come out with like the pre-market prep coin, and we were going to be billionaires.
You have to make a person. It has to be your own name.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Dennis coin.
How are you doing, Dennis? How's your health? Dennis. How's your health? Are you taking enough vitamin C?
Good, man. I'm good. I don't do a lot of exercising, and I eat McDonald's every other day because of my 2-year-old and my 5-year-old. But besides that, I'm feeling good.
Are you back in the gym? Are you squatting? I know you were having a hard time with the squat. You were trying to squat. You feel like you're back for like a year. Are you okay?
Yeah, the back's okay. The shoulder's okay. I still do nothing, so I'm fairly lazy when it comes to exercising. But I'm pushing up near all-time highs at 210 pounds, so I'm pretty impressed with myself.
Big support at 200 there, Dennis. I saw Dennis yesterday. Big support at 200 there, and I'm buying the 220 calls there.
You're buying the 220 calls. After he saw me eat lunch, he's buying the 220 calls on me.
Has Joel?
Oh, here comes my roasting. Go ahead, Bill.
Has Joel let you use his Peloton?
He sends me pictures of it though, and I saw a bunch of clothes hanging on it. I actually saw. So he's had it for a week, and now it looks like it's become his own personal clothes hanger because I saw a bunch of clothes. I was so angry when I heard Joe bought a Peloton. I'm like, this guy wants me to work for free at the Benzinga thing, and he goes out and buys himself a $5,000 bicycle that he's going to use once.
No.
Show the picture, Joel. You got to show the picture of all the clothes.
Yeah, send me the picture. Joe, could you please send me a picture of your Peloton? That's what I need.
Well,
forget the Peloton. I tell you the product for the year. The Roomba, the iRobot Roomba. My reverse money flow oscillator is saying it's time to buy iRobot because this Roomba is an amazing product. Do any of you have one?
I don't. Dennis, you own iRobot.
I got one for Christmas.
I have the stock. I don't have the product. The stock's been a complete dog.
What did you get? The what? Oh, the stock?
Yeah, the iRobot stock. It's been a bad one.
Bill, I just want to ask you before we
the reverse money oscillator likes that stock.
That we're listening to Bill Santiago. He's a comedian, author, TV commentator, market aficionado.
And all of his views are not views expressed by
views expressed by-
Benzinga, Pre-Market Prep, Dennis Dick, Joel Elconin, or Spencer Israel. His views are his own.
Here's some more. Okay, they're my views. Okay, I stand behind my views. This is actionable advice. Okay, iRobot is bottoming according to a clear reverse sideways head and shoulder dandruff pattern. Check it out for yourself.
Dandruff pattern.
Yeah.
Wait, what
The
about
flakes are just right.
what about the IPO
I got
market?
my own technicals.
What about
What?
the IPO market? Have you been dabbling in Beyond Meat at all, or Uber, Lyft? What about Beyond Meat?
Yeah, I'm up 25% Uber. That's right. I said it. It's true. Yeah. When the lockup was over and it didn't plummet, I said, this is it. And I got in. Check it out.
What about Beyond Meat?
I didn't mean to do that. I was trying to lose money. It didn't work out well for me.
Yes, I guess that was one of your better trades of 2019, or maybe your best trade.
Totally. Actually, it was. I'm not trying to make money. I think people who do that
it's an
end
accident.
up.
It's an
doesn't work
accident,
out.
right.
It doesn't work out well.
Right. It's an accident.
Hey, can I ask you? What do you guys? Dennis, are you seriously bullish on Boeing?
It's not going down. So, and yesterday, now you have the whole
It's
thing.
the stock isn't going down, but the planes are. That's what I'm saying.
It got shot down though. This last one wasn't their fault, apparently.
I know it wasn't his fault. It was everyone was like, oh, hey, there were no casualties in Iran's retaliatory attack. Yeah, if you don't count all the passengers on board the 737 that they shot out of the sky,
Yeah,
it was like, oh, what a coincidence! It happened on the same day.
And they're trying to say it's unintentional. They're trying to say it's unintentional, but it sounds fishy to me. Yeah.
But that Boeing, everyone says it was a software fix. It's not a software fix. They re-engineered the plane all wrong. They moved the engines up instead of redesigning the plane because they wanted to make some more money on those engines by putting it on the same fuselage. And it totally screwed up the aerodynamics of the plane. And so they tried to fix a plane that doesn't fly with software in a way that countermands the pilot's basic instincts. When he wants to go up, the plane pulls down.
All right, Bill. Let's see if there's just one more stock that I want to get some commentary from.
How come when I get serious, you guys cut me off?
We got scared with the Boeing roast.
What about Disney? What about the House of Mouse? I know you got a couple youngsters. What do you think of Disney here at 145 and change?
The kids hate it. I love it. I can't get enough of the old Herbie movies. I could watch those. I could watch those for years.
Herbie, the
original Mary Poppins. That's me. But the kids, they're on to other things.
And I'm going to ask you this question again. When are you coming to Detroit? I think I could get at least.
I am never coming to Detroit. Oh wait, I'll tell you where I will go. I want to spend a July in Halliburton, but I'm not coming to Detroit.
With the black flies.
With the black flies. Yeah, that sounded good.
Yeah. Right. Oh yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
As you can tell, and Bill, just tell people when you listen to our show and how you listen to our show.
I listen to your show. It depends. I try to listen to it every day when I'm on the M10 bus heading down Frederick Douglass Avenue in New York City to pick up my girls at school. But sometimes I miss that for a while, and then I have to binge. And
so you binge watch?
I binge listen. Yeah.
It sounds like you've learned a lot.
Oh, I've learned a lot. Yeah, I've learned a lot. You guys are very. I'm not educational, but you guys are. What I say is actionable. You guys, I've just learned things from you, but I actually act on my gauges and oscillators.
All right, Bill Santiago is a trader, and as you could probably tell, also a comedian. Bill, thanks so much for joining us, and have a good weekend.
Anytime.
All right.
All-time best interview. I know Dennis doesn't like me saying that. I don't want to offend anybody, but right there, folks.
Bill's always awesome.
Oh man, I'm dying here.
Maybe whatever Bill says, maybe consider doing the opposite. Just
that's exactly what he said.
Read the disclaimer, Spencer.
Yeah.
Read the disclaimer. Make sure you read it today. Of all days, this is the day to read our disclaimer.
All right. What about here? Let's talk about GrubHub here. They came out and there was a report that they're considering strategic alternatives, which is code for a sale. They came out and said, nope, no, we're not. We're not
Well,
doing that.
let's rewind the tape to yesterday. What did I say yesterday? Can you refresh my memory?
You said that there was no sale here.
Yeah. And I said the only sale I would be doing is selling the stock when it was $55. It's 50. So there you go. 10% a day.
And also I said
it was just when you see these companies, we're going to sell ourselves. And more often than not, it's
but it wasn't from
talking.
the company. It wasn't.
I
From
thought
the
it
company.
was.
No, it was
Deal
not.
Reporter.
It was from this place called Deal Reporter. I was talking with Brent Slava on our news desk earlier, and they break. I mean, they break.
Deal Reporter
headlines.
breaks stuff. They're legit.
Well, listen. This is what Brent said. They break headlines every so often. Brent cannot remember a single time where their headline actually came to fruition.
I think there has been some time. So I'm not. I've actually I can't.
Whatever
remember.
it is, they have a very poor batting average. We'll put it that way.
Maybe they should change their name to non-deal reporter.
In any case,
they're reporting rumors, right? So
right, they're reporting rumors. In any case, GrubHub came out and said no sale.
Yeah, we talked about, Dennis. I know you talked about it as well. I talked about when you're buying stocks on this kind of news, on this kind of anticipation, you gotta have follow through. You gotta hear that news pretty quickly in order for something to transpire. And then I heard Walmart. What the hell? Why?
Yeah, there was a Walmart rumor, and I was like, that makes no sense at all.
Yeah. Why?
So let's go back to 1:40 on Wednesday when this news originally broke, and it was actually by the Wall Street Journal. So I just want to clarify it all. So Grub, and I'm reading from the Wall Street Journal, so Grub is considering a possible sale of the company or an acquisition due to increased competition in the food delivery sector and decline in its shares. Cites people familiar with the matter, according to the Wall Street Journal. So originally, it looks like this was actually Wall Street Journal. Maybe Deal Reporter added some color to it, when that color obviously maybe wasn't correct. I'm not sure, the whole Deal Reporter stuff. But when you get stuff from the Wall Street Journal, you got to pay attention. But what the Wall Street Journal, and this is what I was reading originally, they're considering selling themselves. Well, isn't everybody consider selling themselves at a certain point in time when their stock price is in the gutter? I mean, that looks like a scramble tactic, not like a tactic that, oh, we're doing so great that we're gonna now put ourselves for sale. No, we're doing crappy, and they cite increased competition in the food delivery sector and decline its shares as the reason they want to sell themselves. So it sounds like they're selling themselves because they're not doing that great. That's not the kind of stock I want to own. So it's down 5 points here today. Maybe there's something that materializes. You never know. M&A can always happen here, but I think the easy money, what I said yesterday too, the easy money has been made in GRUB, and I said I think, from a personal perspective, if I owned it, I would be selling it. So that's what I said yesterday. I don't think the story is any different here today. I mean, you're losing 5 more points here, but I think this thing could eventually continue to drift lower. So I'm not a fan of GRUB. Sorry, GRUB longs.
All right, Spencer, we got a few minutes here. Why don't we'll let you take the
reins. What about
Spencer? No.
Yeah. I was gonna say I was looking at the pre-market movers this morning, and I saw SAVA, our friend from last week, was popping. Is there life here still, Dennis? Or
is there an insider buy again? Why is it popping?
I didn't actually get that far, but I mean,
I'm just trying to see if there's more insider buys here.
Off the highs from last week. We're hanging out here.
I believe the story is over here too.
Okay.
So, maybe some insider buys, maybe the drug comes out. There can always be reasons to change their mind. But as of right now, when I look at this chart, I see, I think those 10, and there's a couple tops of 10. Upgrade. I don't think we're getting back up there. And if we get anywhere near $9 or $10, I think you have a lot of people who chase this thing that would be wanting out. So all of a sudden, you're going to have a little bit of overhead supply issue starting in this. When it was going straight up, you didn't have any overhead supply, it can continue to go up. Now you've topped out. Now, and I think when I look at this, it all depends on, that drug too. If the drug comes out and it's positive, I guess, that changes everything. But just ignoring all of that, ignoring fundamentals, just looking at it technically here, I think the story is over in SABA.
I got it. Dennis, you're probably going to figure out what I'm going to say about this one. Fundamentally, I don't know anything about the company.
No, we don't know.
They have a drug. Spinner's saying it caught an upgrade today. I had not. I don't know where.
I don't see that.
I don't see that either.
Maybe it did.
But
trading up like an upgrade.
What I will say here is that, boom, how high did you get? You got over $10, not quite the $10.95. I remember talking about that, right? No follow through $11. you had a 4-point decline to the $7 area on Wednesday. So now you're trading up 70 cents. If this stock is for real, and if this thing, or this is just my opinion and not an actual trading idea, but $9, take back half of that move. You got a lot of people stuck over $9.50 here. They're hoping to get their money back. So look at $9. That's the 50% retracement. You haven't seen there yet. You get to 9, over 9, close over 9, 3 days in a row. Yeah, the party's back on here, and perhaps we'll go up and test that 10.95. But love the $9 level here. Currently trading at $8.63, up 70 cents. Getting a little relief pop, $9. That's my level today.
So you're saying that's the resistance point, $9.
Major
resistance. And you're 863. You're just away from that right now. So you'd be more prone to sell it in the high 8s than to buy it.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, we're just clarifying.
But on the way up, I probably would have been more willing to sell at 4 than buy it. 4.
Oh yeah. Well, like I said, I bought this thing in the 2 handle. I sold it just in the high 2 handle, and I was like, oh, I look pretty silly for that. But that's just me. I got that scalper blood. I can't seem to shake it. I have the FIFO problem, first in, first out. All those issues. Alex talks about it with me on Twitter, and definitely have FIFO problems.
Okay,
here.
I do
so
want to
I'm good at getting in. I'm bad at getting out.
I do want to get to the Six Flags headline. They caught a downgrade this morning from Wells Fargo, but more than that, there was an 8K out that talked about their China parks, their China branded parks, and how they are not progressing as the company had expected them to.
Like no one's going there?
That's all. I didn't actually look at the 8K. That's just the summary of what it said.
Wow. Okay, Dennis, you want to make any commentary on is it Cedar Point here?
No, that's fun.
Yeah, Cedar Point is fun.
But fun is probably going to be down in sympathy here. So don't think you're going to get off scot-free if you own FUN. FUN is already trading down 1.5%. I wouldn't be surprised if it's some significant support on FUN in the 53.5 area. If it takes that out, that is concerning as well. But, you do have some dividend protection on FUN. I mean, you can say you have dividend protection on SIX as well, but this is ugly. I don't know what this means. I mean, you think about the bull market that we've been in, and this Six Flags just continues to go down. It's been a value trap, and it obviously continues to be a value trap here. FUN has not went down like the Six Flags has, but that's still concerning to me as well. So I don't know why, they're not doing as well as they used to here, but I'll tell you, the trend is definitely not your friend here. Is this is this, the capitulatory event where everybody washes out and gets the hell out? Potentially, the dividend is attractive as it approaches 10%, but, this is not good news. So I think I instead of trying to, pick the bottom, like I said, it's very difficult to do. I'm gonna wait for the dust to settle on this one and then reanalyze, but this is just not, down 17% after, being so weak for the last year and a half as well. This is ugly.
Oh, step down seller in here. Someone wants out, and they want out bad.
There's
here.
Multiple people that want out, Joel.
Yeah. All right, let me put an S on that. Step down sellers here.
Yeah.
Right? Step down sellers. They got the hammer on this thing. You haven't seen. I haven't seen a green bar here in quite some time. So
it's the China they're citing here, Spencer?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. I would say
they have co-branded parks in China.
If I had,
it sounds like they're possibly even getting rid of them.
Oh, if they had to take it right down for that. I'm just going to go to the monthlies here for you, and I'm going to go all the way back to October of 2014, and you had a low at 31.77. So just so I don't miss it, if I was short, I get a bid out there at $32. That's still another, $4 or $5 away from here. I don't know if we're going to see it today, but there's your monthly support here in Six Flags. And then I've getting a couple of questions here about NLOK. And is that the one that was paying that big dividend? Is that correct? They were like
they just announced last night.
They announced a special dividend.
Yeah, and it's a big one. Like, look at the size of this special dividend. They just announced a $12 special dividend last night. So half of the stock's price, basically, they're going to give out in a special dividend. You've seen the thing will only trade up 66 cents. And it used to be special divvies, the stocks used to really fly on those, and they haven't for the last little while. And I used to play it. I used to see, like, you know, a special dividend come out in a headline, press release, you know, and it's significant. I would buy the stock up. You know, if it was $5, I'd buy the stock up $1 because usually it would go up a couple bucks on that. But it hasn't been the case as of late. The special dividends have not moved the stocks like they used to, and I don't usually even play them too much anymore. Like, I mean, trade them and trade those headlines. So a special dividend of $12 sounds pretty awesome for shareholders, but it also says, like
why?
What's that mean?
Like,
what's that mean? Why? What's that mean for the company? You know, you're giving, you know, $12. You say you have a lot of money. You don't know what to do with it. You're just getting rid of it. What does it mean for the company going forward? You know, there's a lot of question marks around why.
And then the stock, wherever the stock's at, you know, it's going to go down. I mean, theoretically.
Yeah, you don't just get a free $12. I mean, you get $12 and the stock's going to fall by $12 on the X date for that. So, you know, there's no free lunch here. You know, sometimes I talk about dividend capture, and sometimes the stock doesn't fall quite as much as, you know, the special dividend. And sometimes I do trade those around those events where, you know, maybe, you know, you try to get a $12 dividend and stock only falls 11, you make $1. I mean, you know, but you don't think, you know, it's gonna, you know, gonna make $12 here. It's not the case.
Yeah, I think someone's been accumulating. I think it's BZ Tokyo's been talking about this one, and because they announced it a while ago. So I don't know. If you were playing this ahead of that dividend, did they announce the X date on it?
I don't think so yet. Okay. I have not seen that. They just announced it last night. I did not see if they announced the actual date of it yet. I'm sure that's coming though.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just.
Do you want to read the press release? No, they did announce the X date. So here you go. Yeah. I'm reading the press release now. This came out last night at 4:15. Company today announced special dividend, one time $12, returning over $8 billion of capital to shareholders. The dividend is payable on January 31st to shareholders as of record of January 23rd. So the X date is actually, and this is the confusing part, the X dates are always messed up on these special dividends. They're saying the X date is February the 3rd. So it's always confusing with this big special dividends when they're over 20%, and they mess these up sometimes too. So you got to really be careful if you're trading around these dates. I have seen them mess these things up where they adjust it, you know, and the exchange adjusts and they miss and they get it the wrong date. So you always be careful on the X dividend plays around these special dividends, because I have seen them messed up a lot of times. Like, I remember trading TiVo once, and it was supposed to have like $1 special dividend. I think it was TiVo, and it was when the stock was trading like $2 or $3. So it was like literally like a 30 or 40%, you know, of the stock price. And they had the X dividend date wrong, and the stock went down $1 adjusting for it because exchanges had it marked the wrong day, and everybody who sold it down there was selling on the wrong day. Was the next day. They had the date wrong. So these things can get tricky at times for the exchanges to get it exactly right too, because the special dividends work differently than the regular dividends as the X dates do. So the X dates are actually after the pay dates, which is just, it's all confusing.
All right. That'll be it for our show. I want to thank everyone for bearing with us through some internet outage issues at the top of the hour. Or top of the last hour, I should say now. Thanks to our guest, Bill Santiago. Please remember that all the information from our show is meant to be used as informational purposes only and not for investing or trading advice, especially today's show. You can always catch our podcast, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, or rewatch our show on youtube.com/Benzinga TV. Everyone have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend. We'll be back with you on Monday.